Hey, good morning. This is the pastor's note for Wednesday, March the 10th, 2021. And today we're continuing our conversation on the devil and his nature. And just to remind you, the reason that we're talking about this is because, at least in my opinion, I think there's a tendency for folks, even amongst Christians, to give the devil more credit than is due him. And so we want to, as we think about the devil and his work, we want to put that into the right perspective. What is the nature of his work? And so as we think about the nature of his work, one of the first things that we ought to think about is, okay, well, what is the nature of his being? What kind of a being is he? Is he an all-powerful being? What does the Bible say? In the final analysis, that's what we're looking to. And so when the Bible speaks to Satan, the first thing that we ought to start out by noting is that he's one of the angels, all right, which means something very important. This means that Satan is a created being, all right. He is a created being. So he was at some time during the creation week, he got his start. Probably early on in the creation week, Job chapter 38, verses 6 to 7 say, "Oh, what were its bases sunk," referring to the universe, the world, "or who laid its cornerstone, when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy." So that's a reference to the creation of the angels, seemingly looking on and observing the creation of the earth. So certainly we know from Genesis chapter 3 that Satan was present, existed, and had already fallen, which we're going to talk about later on, had already fallen by the time Adam was there in the garden. So he's a created being. He's one of the angels created early on to observe the power of God and his creation of the rest of the universe, including the creation of man. So here's something real simple that you need to take away from thinking about Satan as a created being. He is completely under God's dominion. He is a rebel. He is a deceiver. He is diabolical. All the names that are given to him are completely true and accurate. He is opposed to God in every way that he can be. But God is not limited by him. And that's my concern, is that it seems some Christians would go so far as to say that God can't accomplish his will because of the devil. Well, that's simply not true. The devil does not exist apart from God. Do you understand that? He can't exist apart from God. He is just like, in the same way that God sustains all of his creation, he sustains Satan. God, when we talk about the governance of God, that he oversees all of his creatures and all of their actions, that applies also to Satan. So he's a created being, so that means he's finite. He isn't infinite. God is infinite. Satan is not. He's a finite being. He has a beginning. He's not eternal. He has a beginning and he has an end. So he's not like God in that way either. And he is completely dependent upon God and completely submissive to God. He is an instrument in the Lord's hands. And we find that especially in those first two chapters of Job. Do you remember where all of the sons of God are coming before God and giving a report, as it were, and Satan has to come as well? So bear that in mind the next time you're having a conversation with someone about the devil, or you're thinking about his operation in the earth. Have we now been subjected to Satan? Well, sometimes he can be an instrument of judgment upon us, but he's never sovereign over the universe. And that should never be in question for any one of you. Look, I pray that the Lord will bless you and continue to keep you, and that he will strengthen you to resist all of the enticements of the evil one. I will see you next time.